Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. If you're enjoying this series or any content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and a like on the videos does really help. Today we are repairing, fixing, rebuilding the Bolt Chapman F-Mill to factory standard. So this was the car we paid £15,630 for from the barn in the last episode. So this is its first ever rebuild. We've done a Bolt Chapman previously, but it was a standard version. This is the F-Mill. It's slightly different in terms of look and style. And we'll start, as always, with the examination. Now, the one thing that made a big difference to this was the engine colour. And I think we've seen a few before, but not on one of our own. The engine is bright blue, or baby blue you could call it. It's a really nice colour, and it will be even better once it's all fixed. The examination showing what we already knew. There's quite a lot to do. It's a complete rebuild, strip out everything, rebuild the whole thing. We kind of guessed it would be, because they always are. We'll start a little bit differently than normal. We're going to take all the bodywork off first, just because it leaves us an empty shell then. And I think that's a better way of working. I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me in terms of what to take off first. I think taking off the bodywork first does kind of make sense. It frees up everything else. Bodywork wise and chassis wise, not in a bad condition. We'll still need to weld it and fix everything, but it's not that bad. There's no major signs of damage. So a lot of cars you do see. So that was a definite plus point for this. So that is all the bodywork off. Engine bay is looking very sparse. There doesn't seem to be much in there, bar the engine and a fuse box in the little corner there. As always, we'll take the oil out. You never know if there's any oil left in, and I'm still avoiding that trophy for the oil leak. It's the one trophy I'll wait to receive, happily, at this point. So, oil out. Let's see how much is in there. What do we reckon? A little? There's a little bit. There we go. We'll get the engine crane across, and then we'll have a look what we need to disengage underneath the car before putting it back down and taking the engine out. I would assume gearbox. Looking at the suspension, it's very basic suspension, I'll give you that. There's not much to it compared to a lot of cars we've worked on. Could be to do with the age. It isn't exactly young, this Bolt Chapman. 1969, if I remember correctly. So we're going to take the starter motor off and the gearbox. Sorry, 1978, not 1969. 1978. Still not a young car, by any means. Okay, that is the engine all disconnected. There's no exhaust connected, so that's ready to go. Engine, I always press the plus when I mean the minus. I don't know why I do that. So engine is out, and we'll work on the engine first. Now, this engine is a fairly small engine, but it does have something that annoys me immensely, and that's push rods. So we are going to speed through taking this apart, mainly because of the push rods, and they do take a little bit of time to take off and put back in. So it's a little i6 engine. The baby blue does look nice, but again, it's quite basic compared to some of the engines we have worked on previously. There's not a lot to it, which is never a bad thing when you're taking it all apart or putting it back together. A lot of these parts I think we can fix. I don't think there's going to be much in terms of spending, looking at the condition of the parts we're taking off. There's a few we have to replace, but most of them I think can be fixed. That should be a good one for our profit margin, hopefully. Okay, and here comes the dreaded push rods. They're not too bad, they're just fiddly, if anything. They take time. But this was a fairly quick rebuild, to be honest. Didn't take too long. So the last couple of push rods. There we go. And now we can take this top part of the engine off. And then we can take the gear stuff off. And then we'll look at the pistons and things. So turn it round. I do like working out from the side. It does make this bit a lot easier. Caps to come off from the pistons and the crankshaft at the same time, and a few more left to go. The rod cap. Crankshaft bearing cap. There's only a couple more. Well, not too bad. Obviously spraying all the bolts to get them off does take up a little bit of time. There we go. Another one done. Another crankshaft bearing cap. Both bolts this time rusted in. There we go. I think there's one more piston left. Rod cap off. We're going to take all the pistons out. There we go. Another one done. It's only got 6 pistons, as it's an i6 engine. One on the end. And then that should be the crankshaft. Fantastic. And we've also got the camshaft as well. There's a little arm on the edge of the engine. I didn't notice that originally. But we'll take that off. And it's the actual body of the engine. There's an actual bolt not wanting to come out. And then the engine block itself. There we go. So we'll go off, fix everything, replace things we can. And now we'll start the rebuild. Again, we're going to speed through the rebuild a little bit. Only because of the push rods. They just bugged me. They take a little bit of time. Straight away you can see condition of the engine. Once you've got it fixed and working, it's a nice little engine really. I'm looking forward to getting this car around the track and seeing just where it fits in with our other cars. Okay, so all the caps got to go back on now. These are the little bits that get a little bit tedious when you're just putting caps back on. Actually quite good watching it back, sped up, makes you feel better about it. So, top of the engine to work on. And then here comes the dreaded rod caps. 12 of these in total, followed by 12 rocker arms. Just trying to get a decent view that makes it a little bit easier to see where we're kind of clicking next. But it's not too bad. 12 rocker arms now. And as this is sped up, you can tell this how long this would take normally. Okay, spark plugs as well going in. 6 of those. Our ignition cap. Ignition wires, which we didn't buy because it wasn't on the engine originally. I didn't replace them automatically. Our filter there. Go, and then there's little bits to put on around the sides. Timing back on. Pulleys, water pump. On the side mount, I should say. Serpentine belts. We have a fan to go on the front as well. And we're nearly done. Very nearly. So we've got exhaust manifold to go on as well now. And this will allow us to build up, which will be the air filter. I couldn't remember the name of it in a minute. So carburetor first. Fuel filter. Have we got one? No, we need to buy a fuel filter. Put it on the shopping list. We'll go and grab that now, so we know that's done. Fuel filters are probably one of the things you can easily forget and miss if you're not careful. Because they don't sit on anything, they kind of float there. Okay, base of the air filter itself. Then we're going to do the top of it, air filter cover. There we go, and that, I believe, is a completed engine. Apart from the gears, we'll do the gears as well now. Nearly forgot about them. Wouldn't have done when we put it back in the car. Flywheel, pressure plate, clutch pressure plate, and then the release bearing last. I don't think that's a bad looking engine. I do like the colour. I don't colour engines myself, I just don't see the point in the waste of money, but I do like the colour of it. That is quite cool. Okay, engine done. Now we're going to move on to suspension. And I did say when we was taking the engine out, this car does have a fairly basic suspension. A lot more basic than some of the cars I've worked on. Rims don't look in too bad condition either. That's always a good sign, hopefully. I'm assuming it will need new tyres. The rims look like they can be fixed. save us a little bit more in our profit margin as well. Now, brake drum has to come off rear drive axle, it's rear wheel drive. Brake shoes, don't get to see those very often, older cars mainly. Drum brake cylinder, and the favourite rubber bushings. And as you can see, the rear suspension, there's not a lot to it, not compared to a lot of things we've dealt with. There we go, suspension off. Leaf springs as well. We'll take both of them off. We'll take the plate off, leaf spring plate. Control arm, wheel hub, and the rear axle knuckle. Shock absorber cap, spring, and then the spring cap. And then this side of the suspension on the rear is basically done. So I mean, there's not a lot to do in terms of the rear suspension. I was pleasantly surprised. It didn't take too long. Okay, on the other side now, rear left, brake drum, solid rear drive axle. Again, a lot of this can be fixed, so we won't have to spend much money, hopefully. Brake shoe off as well. Drum brake cylinder, wheel hub, and then we can get all the shock absorber off. And we've got our leaf spring U-bolts, 2 of these. I do like it when the suspension comes off fairly simply. And it's one of the ones that you can probably remember how it all goes without looking most of the time, because it is so simple. And I think what we'll do the front and rear suspension off at the same time. Normally we'd do one, go off, fix it, put it back in place and do the front. I think we'll just strip the whole thing, since there isn't a massive amount to it. Okay, and that is the rear suspension done. While we're here, take off the middle muffler. Now we can work on the front of the car. So that rim looks a little bit worse for wear. I'm hoping it's still in the orange, because if it is, we can actually fix it. If it's not, we need a new one. So the brake cylinder can come off. Brake discs, or brake pads, sorry. Brake disc ventilated now. Wheel hub caps. Again, they're going to need replacing. They can't be fixed anyway, I don't think. Front wheel hubs. And then we've got a knuckle cover. Not bad condition for that one, really. I think the front is probably more worse or wears than the rear, strangely. That's the way it looks at this point. Don't forget to take rubber bushings off. Don't want to get to taking the suspension off the big part and then finding I can't because I've missed the rubber bush. Nothing worse. Okay, we need to take off the shock absorber first, and then the bottom suspension arm. The bolt that's rusted in. They're the ones that slow you down, the rusted bolts. Front steering knuckle can go, and then I think what have we got left this side? Nothing. Okay. Front left. Again, the wheel hub looks worse than the rears, but fixable limits, I would say. Brake cylinder, and then brake pads. Wheel hub cap. We've got the bearing as well to come off. There we go. And then we've got the brake disc ventilated again. Again, they're high enough, I think we can do fix for free. It's always a bonus on saving money. Okay, outer tie rod. We can do the inner tie rod, and that means the steering rack can now come off. We've got the sway bar front end link as well, and the sway bar can come away. The suspension bar. Take off the shock absorber, and then the rear, the bottom suspension arm. I keep saying rear, bottom suspension arm come off. And then we can take knuckle cover and the knuckle itself. And then I believe we've just got rubber bushings. 3 of them looking at that. I missed one on the right. Just realised that. But a decent view though. So there we are. Last rubber bushing, and then we can take the cross member off, and that is that done. As always, we'll go off, we'll fix things, we'll replace what we have to replace, and then we'll come back and put it all back together. There we go. Didn't spend a massive amount. I think we actually did really well financially. A lot of things could be fixed. It saved us a massive amount of money. Some things couldn't, so we've had to replace, but most of it was fixable. You'll be able to tell what we actually bought brand new and what we just fixed by how many's in there when we go to put a part on as well. That's the other way of telling. Drum brakes couldn't be fixed. We had to actually replace them completely. Put a rubber bushing in that one as well. Okay, rear shock absorber. Then we've got a spring cap. Rear spring. And the rear shock absorber cap back on. What have we missed? Oh, the leaf spring plate. Spring bolts. U-bolts as well to go on. 2 of those. There we go. What else we got over here? So the rear light's done, so tire can go back on. There's no reason not to. It does mean it's not in my vision as well, so it helps. Okay, so now on the rear left, same again. So we've got the knuckle housing, the wheel hub, rear drive, and then we do the braking system, so the drum brake cylinder, brake shoes, and then we've got the brake drum itself, and the wheel can go on when we're ready. So we've got the control arm with the rubber bush. Got to remember the bush in that one. Rear shock and the spring cap. Nearly forgot my words there. There we go. The rear spring itself. And we've got a spring cap, or shock absorber cap, I should say. Wheel can go on. I've actually just realised I've missed something. We'll put the wheel on anyway because that's where we are. We've missed. Not the. Well, we need to put a the fuel tank in, but that wasn't what we've missed. I've just noticed we haven't put the rear spring plate back on. Leaf plate, whatever you want to call it. We do need to get a fuel filter. There wasn't one in the car, so obviously it wasn't on my list. I should have remembered, so you generally always need to buy one. There we go. We'll come back to the rear. I haven't quite spotted the fact I've missed it until just now. So obviously I will figure it out in game, but at the minute I obviously haven't noticed. Okay, rubber bushing back in, steering rack. What else we got? We've got the sway bar. Now we need our front knuckle. Inner tie rod as well. Outer tie rod, just to hold it all in place. On this side anyway, at least right now. Bottom suspension arm. And then we've got another rubber bushing on the cross member. It always looks like you've got lots of rubber bushings, but once you start putting the bottom and top arms on, they use a lot of them. When you're buying them, it sounds like a lot when you buy like 12, 15, 16 at a time. But then once you start adding all the arms and stuff, it kind of works itself out. So this one here we'll use 2. But you don't think that when you're buying them, you just see the amount you've got to buy. So, that's quite a few. Am I going to get this right? Okay. Front wheel hub. We've got our ventilated brake discs. Brand new brake pads. Obviously they can't be fixed. Brand new brake cylinders. Again, everything has to be 100%, so it's brand new even if it's been fixed to 100 or we buy it. That's in my eyes anyway. Bearing goes in. We've got a cap to go on as well. And that enables us to get the wheel on. There we go. That is one side done. The front left is done. Front right now. And this is all without the engine going in. This is just the suspension. So rubber bushings again. 2 of those to do. Front knuckle. Bottom suspension arm. Shock absorber as well. As I say, everything has to be 100%. So we can't do a car that's not 100%. It's not a factory rebuild if we do that. So it is all brand new, fixed or bought parts going on. It does take a little bit of time, but I think it's very rewarding when you're fixing a car and you're rebuilding it from scratch, because when you see it going all together come the end, it's really good. I did well there. I do anyway. Okay, brand new brake pads. We've got brake cylinders as well. We'll have bearing, we'll have cap, and we're obviously missing something because it won't allow me to put the wheel on. So what are we missing? That'll be it. Inner tie rod, and then outer tie rod. That's what I like. I like the fact it kind of makes you notice you've missed something, because you know what should be next. If it's not showing up, you know you've missed something. It's always going to be close by. I like that. Okay, suspension is done. Yes, we have made that mistake on the rear, but we'll sort that out. We'll be fine. Okay, so engine can go back in. We do have a fuse box that's in here from when we bought the car. So we need to strip this out. See if we can fix the fuse box itself, the bottom part. May be able to. Fuses themselves will be no good, but we can recycle them into scrap. That's the main thing for us. The more scrap we have, we are ready for a first 1-star car, as long as we have a decent amount. I don't know how much scrap it's going to take. We may not even be able to fix that fuse box. It's in the red, so I don't think we can. But we can put the engine back in, and that is the engine back in. I should have moved the engine crane out of the way earlier, I think. So we need to put everything else in the car. We can add a load of stuff to our shopping list to make our life a little bit easier. Battery as well. Brake servos there. Okay, brake servo. Fuse box. Again, I don't know what fuses we need, so we're going to have to put it in and then highlight them all and buy them from the electronics side. Battery as well, of electronics. So brake servo we can put in place. And now we have our fuses. So we'll add all these to our shopping list and we can go and buy these, put them all back in, and then we need to buy a top to this fuse box, as the previous didn't have one. So only a few of each, not too bad. As I said in previous videos when we're doing the rebuilds, if you think we should need to speed up more on some parts like rebuilding suspension or taking suspension off, then do let me know. I'm more than happy to change it up a little bit and whatever suits everyone. So last few relays going in, last relay, and then we've got the actual fuses. Doesn't have many, only 3. One of each colour, nicely. Okay, the lid we don't have, I'm pretty sure. So we've added it to a shopping list, we can now buy that. Perfect. There's that little toolbox, doesn't it, when you close up? But it isn't. There's a fuse box. Right, what else are we missing here? If we go to plus, the battery we haven't put in yet, but we have bought one. There we go. We need power steering fluid reservoir. Things like this I should really think in advance and have them ready, but I just didn't. I never think. So I get to the engine bay and see them not there. I don't actually think about it. Okay, radiator as well. We didn't take one out, so need a brand new one. So it costs us a little bit of money. Although not that expensive, to be fair. It's very close to maximum discount at the shop. I think we may already have it, actually, thinking about it. But that will help save some money. Okay, washer liquid. Reservoir. Now we can fill that up when we're ready. Okay. I feel like we're missing something. I don't know. I do feel like I am. Don't know. We lift it up though. We can put the gearbox back in, the drive shaft, and the exhaust. That's kind of our next lot of jobs, really. We need to add all the exhausts to a shopping list. Because you can't fix them, just go add them to your shopping list. And I should have probably bought them early. If I'd taken them off, I should have known they needed replacing. Okay. I've just noticed we've missed something. I couldn't get a view on it, I don't think. Did I notice or did I not? Because the voice is over afterwards, I actually can't remember if I noticed. Or what point I noticed that was an issue. Be interesting to see, wouldn't it? Okay, that's all done. That's the rear. I was looking to see if there's anything else there. I know there's an issue, but yeah, I don't spot it. That's amazing, isn't it? I don't spot it just yet. There we go. That's the part to connect to the engine. It's a gearbox now. We are very, very nearly done with this already. So I don't think it's too bad for a full rip everything out and put that together. And fix everything as well. I think that's good. Not bad timing, really. Drive shaft back in place. Okay, I still haven't noticed stuff. I will. I'll get a message pop up to say it's not been done. So I won't be able to do anything with the car if we're missing something like that. So it's not a big deal. It's just a little bit annoying because you got to go back underneath, which means raising it back up again and things like that. So the window screen, the washer liquid going in. It's roughly the same colour as the outside of the car, isn't it? Quite a nice combination of that. Okay. Coolant going into the radiator now. Perfect. And the power steering reservoir. Fill up the power steering fluid. Done. Oil, I believe, next. Wheel fill cap straight on the top. Stands out a little bit on the black, on the blue engine as well, which is quite good. Right, while we're refilling this, what we're going to do, I'm going to go off camera and fix the little issues I've got, the little mistakes I've made and missed parts. We're also going to do the bodywork and the internals and get all that finished off camera, and then we'll show you the finished article after it's been painted. And here we are. We went for blue. Now, the reason I went for the blue is because the engine was blue and I thought it'll blend really nicely. So this is the finished Bolt Chapman F-Mill. Standard factory rebuild. Not standard, it's an F-Mill. And here we are. I think it looks nice in the blue. It looks really nice. It's boots. And the inside, all brand new seats. Brand new steering wheel. It does look nice. It's clean. We can give it a little rev and listen to it before we head off for our race lap time to see where we're going to end up on the board. And here we are. So we set our fastest lap on our second lap of the 5. The first lap you can see was a 2:15.1. That's obviously from a standing start. Normally I'd get quicker by the 3rd or 4th lap, but I kind of got slower. Handling wise, this car was okay. It lacked a top end. It really did. Once you hit 3rd gear, and because we don't change with the gear ratios, not until we do a fully tuned car right at the end when we've done 3 of the same, it lacks oomph in 3rd gear. Once you change in 3rd, there's nothing there. Speed goes out the window. It struggles. You can see the revometer. It's not called a revometer, but I'll call it that. Not really moving in 3rd gear. So it just lacked that speed that you kind of want. So we're not expecting to really feature at the top of the leaderboard currently. Well, this will be the 5th car in the leaderboard, so we'll be around the top 5 somewhere. But so far it's been a clean lap, no real mistakes, just trying to pick a braking point for here. Probably braked a little bit early, to be honest, but I think I handled it well. It does rock a little bit when you take a corner sharply, but it's not too bad. It's got an old vintage tyres on as well, so vintage tyres probably aren't the best thing for the racetrack. Around the corner, still doing well. It does hold the corners nicely, nice and clean. Didn't go too wide, but again in 3rd gear there's just no oomph behind it. There's no power, and that's obviously going to let it down overall. Right, a few more corners to go. Sharp right here, followed by sharp right. Braking early enough to avoid going too close to the barriers. Could have hit the apex better. And we're about to cross the last corner and cross the finish line. There we go. And our lap time will be a 2:06.661. So that's in 4th place behind the Hanata Moon. 4th place of 5. Not brilliant, but kind of expected. Now, top speed. As I said during the race lap, we were struggling for top end. We were struggling in 3rd gear. That's going to hinder us here as well. So it gets up to 50,000 revs, and then into 3rd, and then it's struggling. I don't want to finish the bottom, but it's going to be close. What are we going to get to? 150 kilometers per hour currently. It is still climbing, it's just not as quick as others. We could tune, eventually we'll tune cars, and hopefully we'll be able to get something out of this engine. Okay, we're about to hit the end of the track, and our top speed is 176 kilometers per hour, which is 109.361 miles per hour. Again, 3rd place behind the Hanata Moon. And there's just showing the engine matching the bodywork colour, which I think was quite a nice little thing. So in total we spent 13,571 on the car itself, on the parts, sorry. We spent 15,630 on the parts. Total spend was £29,201, and we sold the car, or can sell the car, for £41,886, which gives us a profit of £12,685. Now it's not a massive profit, but it's a profit nonetheless. Total spend being just short of 30,000. I don't think that's too bad for the age of the car. I think it's okay. And we have finished with 2 4th places in the top 5s leaderboard. This is the 5th car to go on the leaderboard. So in the next episode we'll do a proper rundown of the top 5 cars in our leaderboard so far, and then I don't know, every few cars we rebuild that change that top 5, we'll do that again. That's kind of my plan at this point. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, and a like on the episode does really help. And we'll see you again very soon with more cars, more car mechanic. Thanks for watching.